Greetings and welcome to Hexed Encountered. I'm Joe. In this video, we will be starting a playthrough of the Musket and Pike dual pack. We will specifically be playing the Edgehill 1642 scenario, which is the first scenario of the game This Accursed Civil War, which is about the English Civil War. And this scenario is one of the more popular ones. It is, of course, it was the first battle of the English Civil War. And so I've put the card for it out here. So this is a 10-turn scenario. As you can see, each turn is 20 minutes. It starts at 3 p.m. and ends at 6 p.m. We have some special rules here. On both sides here are victory conditions. And then I'm going to start with the default orders. That one's upside down. For the Parliamentary forces, all three wings, left, center, and right, are all going to be on receive charge orders. As for the Royalists, they're off camera, but they're going to be left, center, and right, all on the charge orders. There's also a box for pursuit units that may go off map, and one for eliminated units. And then we have our two commanders here, the Robert Devereux, the Earl of Essex. He was the Parliamentary Army commander. And King Charles I was the Royalist Army commander. So here we're going to take a quick look at the Royalist forces. So here on our right wing, this is the Royalist right wing, the Cavalry wing, under the command of Prince Rupert. His backup commander would be Prince Maurice. But as you can see, we've got some light infantry here, and then this is all cavalry. This is also part of the center wing. So that's obviously a separate force, but this is the right wing here. Our left wing is over here. The game does a nice job of actually providing you with both scenario and wing on the counter itself. So you can see here, and I'm sorry, I did not clip these counters. I'll get around to that eventually. But the E indicates that this is the Edgehill scenario counters, and the L indicates the wing. And then the 2 and the 6 are strength and morale. And 8 is the highest for morale. Right? So, and then we have, of course, some of the larger pieces. This is Swedish-style heavy infantry, because as we'll see when we look at the Parliamentary forces, the other forces on the Parliamentary side, their heavy infantry is a single hex unit. This is a 2-hex unit. Again, it has an E on the left that indicates Edgehill, and the C on the right indicates that this is from the center wing. And this is Wentworth's brigade or regiment. And it has a strength of 18 and a morale of 7. The highest morale in this game, as I mentioned, I believe is 8. So again, reading from the scenario description, it says, at the suggestion of Prince Rupert, the king deployed the army along the crest of Edgehill, a virtual escarpment. Hoping to draw Essex to attack on bad ground, Rupert led the horse on the king's right. So there's Rupert right there. And as I mentioned, these are his forces. From here over with the red band. Rupert had the right. Sir Jacob Astley led the foot in 5 brigades in the center. So here are our 5 brigades. Gerard, Blaise, Fielding, Byron, and Wentworth. Astley himself is here in the center, along with King Charles right behind him. Lord Wilmot had the cavalry on the left. Did I screw that up? I think I put the wrong guy out there. Yes, I did. So this should not be him. This should be Wilmot. That's the backup. This is Lord Wilmot right here. He is going to command this right wing, and we'll put him with his brigade right there. And that is our Parliamentary forces. Now we'll switch it up and take a look. That is our Royalist forces, excuse me. Now we'll switch it up and take a look at the Parliamentary forces. Okay, so looking at our Parliamentary forces, they are under Robert Devereux, the Earl of Essex. So Sir James Ramsay was across from Rupert, so that would be here on the left, and there's Ramsay right there. Rupert is, of course, in this direction. In the center was Essex and Balfour with 3 very large infantry brigades deployed into 14 battalions in the Dutch checkerboard pattern. So that would be all of these forces here that have a C. So here and in this area here, all the way over to here. Actually, no, all the way over to here. This is all center right here. And here's Balfour, and there's Essex, our overall commander. They do have some artillery. You see guns here, 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 here. There's one set of guns on this side of the Parliamentary line. And Lord Fielding was commanding the right wing of the Parliamentary Army, which is right here. There's Fielding himself. Now he's got some light infantry up in the trees here along the creek, and then he's got some cavalry as well. So that is the initial deployment, and now we'll get ready to actually start play. And my goal here is to basically kind of hopefully correctly show gameplay. And I'll try to do my best for both sides, but we're going to worry less about tactics and more about demonstrating how the game actually works. So here's a quick look at our sequence of play. So you can see here at the top, the first phase is the initiative phase. Players determine who will become the phasing player and activate the first wing. Then you have the activation phase, which is basically follows from the initiative. So in a way similar to Great Battles of History, and there are a decent number of similarities, I think. I would venture to guess that when Ben Hull designed this game, he had played Great Battles of History, because there's some mechanical things that are very similar. And in terms of activation, in Great Battles of History, you activate by formation and the leader, basically, and they have initiative rating. In this one, it's based on the orders that the wings have. So all 3 of the Royalist wings have charge orders, which is the highest priority. So they would get to go first. And then all of the Parliamentary wings have receive charge, which is a lower priority one. And that's how they will activate. Now, just as I mentioned in the activation phase, which follows in the initiative, so once I determine which one I want to use first to begin play, I would then say, okay, I'm activating Rupert on the right wing. And maybe the opposition would want to basically try to preempt that, is what it's called here. It would be like stealing the momentum in Great Battles of History. So since all of our Royalist forces here have charge orders, we can do whatever, we can activate whichever one we want, and we will get to activate our entire army before the parliamentarians do, unless they actually are able to preempt. But we'll see. We will see, right? So let's start off with some artillery. Now, the artillery, according to our special rules, they cannot limber, which means they're stuck, right? It mentions, I think, in the description that, you know, they would contract out the movement and placement of the guns, and the animals, the oxen or the horses or whatever they were using to haul the guns around would actually go and leave with the people who had placed the guns, and so the guns were basically stationary. So all of the artillery in this scenario and in this scenario is going to be basically static. So with that in mind, it's unlikely the parliamentarians will advance on the Royalists. They could, but historically they did not. So anyway, we have our guns here. They are the big guns. These are the biggest guns in the game. So they are 12 to 24 pounders, 617, right? So the 617 on those would indicate the grazing range and the maximum range. So the grazing range, we'll talk about that when and if it comes into effect in this scenario. It may not. So what we're really looking at is the 17 here. Now, by zooming out a bit, we can actually see the front of the parliamentarian line up here. So let's say we're going to fire this gun right here, right? we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 or 14. So we could shoot at the other gun, or we could shoot at the first Chomley there. I think that's what that says. It says, yeah, first Chomley. This is a heavy infantry unit. So we're going to fire at that guy. Now, we have some player aids, as you might expect, right? So here's our artillery range chart. So we've got the big guys here, the culverins, right? The range is 14. So that is within their range, but you take a -3 range modifier. Now, we'll be rolling on this column right here. So with a -3, the most we can get, if we roll a 9, which is the highest roll you can get, will be a 6. And a 6 will be FH, which is a formation hit. So let's give it a shot. So we're going to take this and we're going to roll, and we will use the blue dice, the blue die rather. We also have a red one. So we'll use the red one for the parliamentarians. So we're going to roll this, and we need basically anything. We need an 8 or 9. And we got a 7. Which translates to a 4, which is, unfortunately for them, a miss. Then we would flip this guy over to his fired side. As you can see, it says fired. So they have fired. Now we'll do it again with this one, and we're going to shoot at the same unit. And we're going to roll again. And this time we got a 2, which is way too low. So we fired at them, but all that did is let them know that, hey, we're attacking you guys. All right. So now let's go. I'm going to reset the shot a little bit to zoom in, and we'll finish with the activation of our center unit here. Okay. So these two have fired. Now, there is a thing called open order, which is marked by this. And you do have the option to start with open order, but we're going to start in formation normal. Now, when you move, you can take formation hits based on the terrain, okay? This is all open, and though we have a brook here, the brook, according to the special rules, the Radway Brook stream is actually for aesthetic purposes, basically. It has no effect on gameplay. So we have Wentworth over here. Now, the movement ability, or allowance rather, for heavy infantry is 4 movement points. So they could go 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, as far as line of sight goes, we have this hill. These are gentle slopes. There's 2 kinds of slopes. Gentle slope is the easier one to deal with. But a gentle slope or a hill, gentle slopes affect only grazing fire, does not block line of sight. Okay, so this does not block line of sight. This also is a non-factor terrain-wise, this here, as well as the Lay's Barn, Brexfield Farm, and the plowed field. This is the plowed field. That's the stream. Kingslay's Barn is right here. The Brexford is over here. Brexford Farm. So this, and this have no gameplay impact. So he's moved. Now we'll move this guy, and we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. Or maybe we'd rather be here. We'll go there. Then we'll move this guy here and go 1, 2, 3, 4. Now these guys can move through the artillery. They're allowed to do that. So I'm just going to pick this one up because it's got our commander on it. And they're just going to go 1, 2, 3. They'll stop here, I think. They'll stop there. And then King Charles will remain inactivated for now. He doesn't need to move. He could move, but he doesn't have to. So we're going to mark Astley as finished to indicate that he's done. Now, in talking about the formation hits, right? So here's our TEC. Clear our plowed fields right at the top, right? So we're up there. These were heavy infantry. You can see it costs 1 movement point. Now down here you see woods, 2 asterisk. The asterisk indicates that it causes a formation hit. Formation hit do not apply to unformed cavalry. So, and it's negated if you're in open order, but as I said, these guys are not. So their formation remains tight because this is easy, it's open terrain, they're not going to get all discombobulated by it, right? So that completes that. Now, they can attempt to do continuation. So here we have continuation, right? And if the enemy tried to preempt, it would be here as well. So their order is charge. So if I rolled a 0 to 3, they could continue, right? And then you have die roll modifiers. So the wing commander's leadership rating plus AC's rating if adjacent or stacked with the WC. So Astley's rating is actually a -1. So that would actually help them because if they rolled a 4, it would be modded down to a 3. So let's take a shot. We'll roll on this here, and I'm going to roll my blue die, and if we get a 0 through 4, they'll be able to continue, and we got a 7. So they are, in fact, finished. Now, if we wanted to preempt, okay, now let's talk about preemption. Let's say that maybe Fielding wants to preempt Wilmot, because we're going to announce Wilmot is our next move, okay? Now, Fielding is opposite him. He can try to preempt. Now, if we look at the same table, you have a preemption column. They are under receive charge orders, so they would need a 0 to 2. Fielding is a 0 leadership rating, so it would be very difficult to get a 30% chance, basically, of rolling for it. So we can try it. So let's try it, right? Now, the bad part of trying it is if they fail, there has to be a repercussion, right? And that repercussion is simply that they cannot attempt to continue their own turn. So in this case, it would not matter all that much for Fielding. And I realize he's off shot, so let me show you him here. So this is Fielding. He is the right wing commander of the Parliamentary forces. As you can see here in the bottom corner, his 0 is his initiative rating. So he's not going to positively impact, or negatively impact for that matter. So we'll roll the red die. If they get a 0, 1, or 2, they will successfully preempt. They got an 8, so they do not. So we take a no continue counter, and let me see if I can find one. And this is our no continue counter. So we're going to place this on Fielding to let us know that he cannot attempt a continuation when it is his turn. Now, if he had been successful, we would have put a bypassed marker on Wilmot to indicate that his turn was skipped, and then after the enemy went, he would be Fielding. After Fielding went, and if Fielding tried and did not succeed at getting continuation, then our bypassed force would go next. So in this case, that did not happen. So we have our bypassed force here, and they will begin their turn, their activation. Now, they don't have any guns, so they're going to strictly basically move, which is what a charge order is. One of the things a charge order will allow you to do. And what they've got here is they've got 2 light infantry here under Rupert and Gray, and then they've got 5 cavalry units. So the as far as movement goes, the light infantry gets 6 movement points. Now, up here we have some marsh, and there is a terrain key. It's right over here, but I'll just tell you what these are. This is obviously woods, but this is marsh, and marsh has a negative, it's more difficult to go through, right? So here's marsh. So we're looking at light infantry and cavalry. It's both 2. So the light infantry can go through there, but it costs them 2 movement points. Cavalry can as well, but they would also take a formation hit. So if we can keep to the clear, they can move 1, they can expend 1 point per hex and not have to worry about taking a formation hit. So let's send our light infantry rather, up this way, right? Because we have enemy units right here that we can actually get to. So let's go 1, 2, 3, almost get to, I should say, 4, 5, 6, and we're going to face this way. So they're now facing them. Just like in Great Battles of History, you face the vertex, not the side of a hex. And then this guy will do the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And he'll go right there like that. They are now moved. They do have a reverse side here, as you can see. Okay, so I've zoomed in a little bit. Now we've got 2 cavalry here under fielding, and they can do what's called interception. So they have to be within 4 hexes. Now, if we look at this unit right here, right, you start like this, say 1, 2, 3, 4. So from this unit to this unit is 4 hexes, and he can attempt to intercept. Now, the way this works is we have here an interception table, and you see cavalry units only. Current order is receive charge. So he will have to roll a 0 to 3 to attempt it. And then based on their morale is a 7. So they get no die roll modifier for that. They are not stacked with one of the leaders. And we don't have to worry about that because we're not at Halmstad. That's in the other game. And so what we're going to do here is we will attempt it. So we know we need a 0 to 3. So let's roll. Let's put this here. And we'll roll our red die. We got a 7. So it failed. So we have here an interception done marker, and we will place that on Balfour here, which only indicates that he cannot attempt another interception. And that would go on there whether he succeeded or not. If he had succeeded, we would move him up here, so he would be adjacent to the, or here rather, so he'd be adjacent to the unit he was intercepting, and they would have combat. That did not occur, so we don't have to worry about that. Okay, now the rest of our units here are cavalry, and cavalry has a movement range of 8, as do leaders. So 8 from here, if we went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, would stack them with the light infantry. Now, as far as stacking rules go in this game, you can stack light infantry and cavalry together, and artillery can stack with anything. But other than that, that's it. You can't stack 2 heavy infantry or heavy infantry and light infantry, etc. So we're going to take Wilmot here, and we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and we're going to be facing this way. Actually, no, we'll face that way. Why not? Now, they have some cannon to the north of us, which is off shot right now, but they could, in theory, fire, I believe, because the range, they're only 3-pounders. So if I check my artillery range chart, a 3-pounder out to 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 hexes would be a -2. So the 3-pound Falcons could do reaction fire. So why not do so? So we're talking about this unit right here. And as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Range is 6. It's a -2 because it's a 3-pounder. And if he rolls an 8 or a 9, he can do a formation hit. So let's give it a shot. And he rolled a 2, which is way too low. So that did nothing. I think we flip him to fired. We do. Put that there. And that is done. Now we'll continue our activation with Granderson. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then Carnarvon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Digby. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And Aston. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we've got our cavalry moved up. Let's flip. Well, you know what? Let's try to get a continuation with Wilmot. He's got a -1. So again, we will need to roll a 4 or less. So we'll put this in, take our die, and we get an 8. So nope. So he will be marked as finished. Now we're going to reset, and we'll move over here into the lower right corner. For our right wing's activation, oh, I forgot to move this, so let me do that. Now, we do have a hedge here, and the movement cost for going through there for heavy infantry is not great. It's actually 2, but they take a formation hit as well. So I'll show you what that looks like. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, no, we'll go here. We'll go right here to get around that so that we don't, because I think it would still be in there and it would cost 2 and we can't do that. So we'll go here, and now he takes a formation hit as well. So the adverse effect here is that they become formation shaken, so we flip it over. And that's what the FS means. When I showed you the reverse, that's what FS is for. It's formation shaken. So they are formation shaken now, which has negative impacts on like movement and combat. So their movement allowance gets halved, and as a heavy, they had a movement allowance of 4, so that would make it a 2. You can, however, reform. So we will attempt that on a subsequent activation, but for now they are done, and now we can get back to what we were actually trying to do, which is move Rupert's wing. Now these 2 light infantry here are inside this hedge-lined road, but it still is going to cost them 2 movement points. I believe that's what it is. 2 movement points within there, and for light infantry, yes, it's 2, but they do not take any formation hits. So that is good. What's bad is that they only have a movement factor of 6 anyway. So this is only going to be a 3 hex movement. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. So they're here now. Now, these guys down here are cavalry. So again, cavalry has a movement of 8. But if they go through the hedge, which they're going to have to, they're going to take formation hits. And it costs 3 to go through the hedge-lined road. So they can go 1, 2, 3, 6, and take a hit. 7, 8. So we'll do something like that. We'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, and they get a formation hit. And we'll do the same thing here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8. And they'll take a formation hit. And we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or let's not do it that way. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We'll do that. And we've got Maurice, 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8. Actually, we'll put him up here. A nice cavalry line. Actually, let's put him here as kind of a backup. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, we'll do that. And then Byron 2 will go here behind Byron 1. They're all formation shaken, as you can see. And Rupert is now going to attempt to do a continuation. And he's actually a -2, which means they can get just a 5 here and actually succeed. So let's see. They got a 0, so that succeeds now. The opponent can attempt to preempt his continuation by attempting to preempt it, as I just said. So that would be either Ramsey or Essex or Balfour, and the latter 2 have a -1, but I'd like to leave them available to deal with their infantry because I feel like their infantry is more important than their cavalry. As it was in the historical battle, the infantry was very important in that. So what we're going to do here is we're going to have Ramsey, who has a 0 initiative. He's going to attempt to preempt. So just as was the case before, because they have orders of receive charge, they are going to need a 2 or a 1 or a 0. You get a 3. So he will also get a no continue marker. Excuse me. So he gets a no continue marker as well. And they can continue now. Now, if we look here, you have sequence of the activation phase. We had a preemption attempt. The next step is orders change. So if we wanted to do an orders change, which we do because we cannot reform under a charge order. So we're going to attempt to change this to make ready, I think. Yeah, make ready is what we're going to change it to, because that will allow us to do a reform but not a rally. And we don't need to rally, we just need to reform. So we're going to attempt the orders change on our units here. So to change orders, you consult the order change table, which is right here. And our current order is charge. We want to change to make ready. So we need a 0 to 3. We do have Rupert, who is a -2. So again, we have basically a 60% chance because we need anything from a 0 to 5. So let's see what we can get. And we got a 0. 0 will do the trick. So they are under make ready now. Instead of, and that's the right wing. So I'm going to change it on the right wing to a make ready order, which looks like this. As you can see, it says make ready. We're going to put that on our right wing under the royalist side. And I know that's off camera, but you'll take my word for it, I assume. Now, there are some limitations here. So to actually reform, you have to be stacked with or adjacent to the leader. So Rupert's here, which means that we'll give successful reform orders to his unit and the unit next to him, as well as this guy, Byron, and Maurice as well. So they all will successfully get reform orders. Now these other two over here are effectively going to become our reserve. And what they're going to do is they're going to, now their movement is halved, so they have a 4. So 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. And now they are also adjacent to Rupert. Now what we can do is attempt another continuation. And if we get it, then Rupert would be able to reform those guys as well and would allow these units here to actually continue the move. So that's what we're going to do next. So we will attempt to roll, and again, we still need a 5 or less, I believe. Second attempt, we get a +1. So we need a 4 or less. And he got a 0 again. Okay, so that means we can now reform these guys, so they will be reformed, and they're going to effectively become our reserve because they're not going to be able to move. Now we will take our other cavalry, and they're going to just go around. So we now have an 8, right? So these guys are all sitting on within like fenced area here with a hedge around it. Yeah, that's a hedge. So what we're going to do here is these guys can't move. So if we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, they could then use a pistol to attack our musketeers here. And they would also be able to do reaction fire. And I just realized you can't see that. So let me reset the shot. Okay, so what I was talking about was down here we have our units, right? So these guys can't move, the top two. We took, say, Byron here, went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and stopped him here. But here's a key thing now, because we're not under a charge order anymore. So we will actually stop here, because here's the thing. You can't do advancing fire, so you can't move up there and fire. So we have to stop. So we're going to do the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll go there, I guess. We'll put the two Byrons in the front together. And we'll take Maurice and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And Rupert will go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And he'll stop right there. And then these guys back here will be, they're still within command range. And I didn't really talk about that, but you have command range as well. And for cavalry, I think it's 4 hexes. I can check that, but they're only 2 away, or 3 away, actually. Maybe we'll have him stop here. So now everybody's within, stop here. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So we're all within 2 of our commander right now. So we'll leave it at that. And we will not attempt another continuation. I don't want to get too far out of range of my friends on the other in the middle. So we'll just mark him as finished. Now, if we had units that were adjacent to each other, we could do combat, but we don't. So we're going to move to the other side now, and we'll have the parliamentary forces do their bit. Okay, so we'll activate the center first under Balfour, right? So this is the vast majority of the parliamentary forces. Now, if we look here at our order restriction chart, they are all on receive charge. So they can move 1 hex, but cannot move adjacent to an enemy unit. They can fire, but no advancing fire is allowed. Salvo, skirmishing, and retreating fire is allowed. They can reform, and they can rally if they're with the leader. They're a little limited in what they can do. Now, they do have some cannon. We have this here. We have a cannon here. We have a big cannon here. And then we have one here. So if we look at this big cannon, he got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. He could attack this unit. Or he could also, if we go out this way, because it's the front 2 hexes, so you would go out this way, and he would be able to hit these 2 units as well. Or if we went this way, he would be able to get any of these in here. So let's have him attack. It's this one. The closest unit he can attack would probably be the Prince of Wales Cavalry right here. So let's have him fire at these guys right here. Range 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10 with the big gun is, if we look here for our 1224, range is 10. It is a -2. So the -2, and we go in this column here. Those are not doubles, I don't think. I don't think they're doubles. So with the 2, -2, you would need to get a 7 or higher. So let's roll for that. Let me put my dice tower out where it's not going to wreck a bunch of counters, but you guys can see it. And we'll roll our red die. Now we got a 7, and a 7 -2 is a 5. So that means that is a formation hit. So we take our Prince of Wales unit and we flip it to its formation shaken side. So that was a successful fire for this guy. And we'll flip him over to his fired side. So that was a success. And I didn't have to readjust the camera because you can actually see. Well, I guess you can't actually. So here's the Prince of Wales. Okay, that's better. So here's Prince of Wales right here. I apologize for not fixing that before, but there he is. That is, and this is the back line here anyway, so you can see most of their units. Now, honestly, they might end up being better off if they pass. But, well, we have a 414 here that we can try to fire with. So they would have the same, basically the same range problems or issues. Now, if we go out this way, they can't really get any of these guys over here, at least not with this one. This one, however, could go and get any of these right here. Any of these 4 would be okay. 3 to 9 at a range of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, let's say, is a -2. So why not? Let's do it. So I'm going to fire with this cannon here. This is still the center. So we'll do the same thing. We'll put that there. We'll roll. We got a 3, so that's not a hit. So now he gets marked as fired. And this one is a 12, or an 8-pounder, I guess. 4 8-pound Sakers, it says. Yeah, 4 8-pound. Yep, that's an 8-pound. So the 8-pound, he's got infantry in his range. I think it's pretty far out. I'm going to count. I'm not going to reset the shot unless it's worth doing. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It's 12. And a 12 for the 8-pound would be a -3. And with the -3, he would need a 9 would be the only thing that would get him a formation hit. So, well, I guess there's no reason not to do it. So I'm going to do it, even though we need to roll a 9. And then if we roll a 9, I'll move the camera and show you what he shot. We got an 8. So, nope, no dice, as they say. Anyway, he gets marked as fired now. Now we need to determine if we want to move any units. And honestly, I'm thinking no. I'm thinking we wait and have them come to us here on this wing. Now again, we could, we have the limitations of our orders here, which means we can move 1 hex, but we cannot move adjacent to an enemy unit. So like over here on the left wing, we can't take these musketeers and move them here because they would then be adjacent. So I think what we'll do here is we'll just have Balfour pass for the rest and mark him finished. And then over here, again, on the left wing, we can move some units, but it won't, and I'm sorry, I said left, but it's actually right. I'm standing upside down now, basically. These two are in woods. It doesn't make sense to me to actually move them. But if we move this guy 1, that's all he can move, and we'll make him face this way. And then we're going to change facing on these as well. And we'll change facing here. Now, here we can do something. We can remove this. They can also move 1. So if we move him here and turn him, and then move him, say, here, and we'll leave him pointing this way. And I'll put this back on there just because. Now, we could also move our commander and move him up 1. Now he's 1, 2, 3 away, and command range, I think, let me check, I think for tracing command, 3 hexes if cavalry or 2 hexes if anyone else. So, and then it's a chain. So we have 1, 2, 3 to this cavalry, then 2 to this one, and then this one's within that range, and these are both within that range, and these are in range. This one's in range of these 2. So everybody's in command. You just have to trace it to a unit from your formation, and then you build a chain back to the commander. So these guys are still in command. And we're done with him as well. So fielding's done. I'm going to take this off. I think I'll take this off too, because nothing else is going to happen over here. Now on the other wing, on our left wing, over here on our left wing, again, we're in a situation where we can't move adjacent to anybody. But what we can do, well, I don't know that I want to do that. I could move this guy here and move this one up as well. But I don't know that I want to make it easier for these guys. So I think we may just pass here, although we can fire with this cannon at Maurice or Byron. So let's do that. The range is only 1, 2, 3, 4 to either one. We'll say we'll shoot at Byron here in the middle. It's pretty much this. Actually, their morale is higher. Let's shoot at Maurice. So at a range of 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, he's 4 with a 3-pound Falcon. It's a -1, and so yeah, anything he needs a 9 or an 8 to hit. So 9 or 8 will do a formation hit. You got a 2. Okay, so nothing there. Mark him fired, and that will, I think, end it for them. I don't know that I want to move anybody else up. We want to sit tight and wait because we are receiving the charge, so we're waiting on them. So I think we're done. And so that would be the end of turn 1. So at the very end here on our sheet, we have the route phase in the marker removal phase, so all salvo. We didn't do that. Fired artillery and finished leaders are flipped to the normal side. We didn't have anybody removed, and nobody's surrendering the field, so we would be ready to go on to turn number 2. But I'm going to end the video here, and we'll pick this up, I think, with the second turn and continue on, but that will be in a second video. So for now, that's going to do it. If you have any questions, comments, corrections, etc., please feel free to post them in the comments, and I will reply. At the very least, I do read all my comments, and I do reply to the vast majority of them. But I do appreciate you guys watching. If you liked it, please consider liking, sharing, and or subscribing. If you are a subscriber, thank as always for your support. I do appreciate it. But that's going to do it for now. I'm Joe. This is the Hexed Encounter channel. And until next time, as always, happy gaming.